Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi channel. I will start another new series, kind of like video tips and tricks, but it should be shorter than usual live noding that I always do. Um, and I will talk maybe more about certain parts that is not too complex and should be useful. For this video, I will show you how you could do a color grading. So this video is I made it for totally non-Blender user, non-3D user. Probably if you are a photographer and you want to have another tool to edit your photo, you can use Blender as well, because Blender has quite powerful compositing and color grading and those sort of stuff. So I'll show you the color grading. So normally if you're a 3D artist and you do a lot of render, let's say you have this very simple scenes, the default scene. They normally work like this. They render the 3D scenes and they have this kind of image. This is like a black and white grayscale, but there is this function that in Blender, but unless someone show it to you, you probably never touch it. So it's called color management, and here you can actually adjust the render result. Here you can see this is the render result, and you can adjust the exposure, the gamma, and you can even choose your film look, kind of emulating the film. And if you are like a photographer, you might want to color grade your photo, and you can do that using Blender as well. So I will hit escape, and the easiest way is to go to compositing. That's where normally if you are a compositor, you want to probably go to into this layout. But if you are a photographer and you never use Blender, you never touch any 3D software, you can use Blender to do a little bit of color grading. So I'll show you the simplest way to do it. So you can click on use nodes, and here by default it's gonna give this render layers. That's the 3D render that I just did, the default 3D view. Don't worry about this. We can, and there's a composite node where it's put all the images together for your final result. What you need is actually just image node. If you shift A and give it an input and select image node, this is basically what you need. You can edit photo, sequence of image, or even a video. So, but I'm just gonna do a single photo. So I'll choose open, and I'll find my photo. Let's go to photo samples, and let's look at the thumbnails. Let's see what we got. I think I can work with this landscape photo. Open image, and this was actually taken using the iPhone 7, so it's quite large. Let me check. I think this one is it's 12 megapixels, so 4032. Okay, let me remember that. 4032 and 3024. 3024. That's the actual dimension of the image. This is the property panel, by the way. If you never use Blender, this is your first time, and by default it's like giving 50% of the final resolution. Let's see, if we don't always need to render this guy, but I just want to show you. So this is your image source. If you need to plug in the image into the final composite, and if we hit render, which is F12, render image, it will go into this view image editor. It's actually trying to render the 3D view, and then it's gonna do the actual image. It always does that. Don't worry about it. It will, your photo is gonna kind of cover and replace the 3D image anyway. In fact, I can just hide this guy if I want. So you have this, and again, if you want to do the simple color grading, you can switch to this scene tab, and then just play around with this film. So you have a bunch of filter there. There is a quick trick that you can do. It's very Blender. You can actually use drivers to drive this selection. So of course, if you don't want to worry about that, you just select one of these lists and go through one by one. But it's much faster if you use this technique. I'll show you. This is a quick trick. I just want to connect this animation frame number into the filter. So right click on this guy, and you get this menu, and then select add driver, single from target, and then just put the eyedropper into the time frame. Now you can kind of scrub over in the timeline. I think we have around 80 of this filter, so it will not go more than 80, but you start from 0, and you can flip through the filter one by one just by using the arrow left and right. So I'm kind of flipping through one by one. The iPhone image photo is quite large, so it's a bit slow, and it's doing a preview as well. Probably I should make it even smaller, maybe 25%, and then I will render the image again. I believe it's actually we can create like a viewer node, and if I plug in the image there and turn on the backdrop, oh wait, that's probably gonna make things even slower. I'm just gonna switch to viewer node here. Let's see. Flipping through the timeline, now I can see the filter applied. It's actually trying to render the full resolution. Maybe I should resize it or something. Resize or scale. Scale the image, relative, absolute, render size. One of these should work. But anyway, I will not make things too complicated for this video. We're just gonna leave it like that and delete the scale node. Just hit X. Basically, if it's plugged into the composite and you hit render, that's gonna be the final image, but the viewer is what you see over here, and it should be updating live. Let me go back to the color management. So we pick one of the film effects, back to this color management, and you can also adjust the curve. Oh, by the way, this render view also, you can change it to film. Film, I think, gives you one of the. If you pick one of these, it's gonna give you different kind of level of exposure. So that's a film look. It's more like film, I guess. So you can also play with this color RGB, reduce the red. If you have a computer with a powerful graphic card, this should be a little bit faster. I think the resolution of this 12 megapixel is quite large. Normally you want to use smaller image. Let me pick one. Actually this supposedly this is your image. This is much smaller. This is actually a video, but much smaller in resolution. Now it should have faster interactive response, and I can just jump into the time frame because we use the driver to connect this guy with a time frame, so I can just do this very quickly. If I'm happy with this, we can just save as image. So that's one way you can do it. Of course, if you are using image sequence and video, you want to render frame by frame. All the setting is actually here. You can change the resolution and the frame rate, start and end frames, and hit render, and it will render out to this TMP. But if you just want this image, I think you can just file, save as image. Let me try test, save as image, and if I go here, find test, there you go. That's the image, the output from Blender, and you can share it on Facebook or Instagram. So it's just another way you can color grade and edit your photo. But if you want to further look at Blender's features, especially for compositing, just find a blog or find articles about it and look what you can do with all this. You can blur it, do all sort of Photoshop kind of filter, but you can do a little bit more for if you have image sequence or video. Okay, so that's just a quick tips on color management and color grading using Blender. Hopefully this is useful for you. I'll see you on the next video.